ago in the 70s, men spoke of a legendary creature inhabiting the Little Miami River. Now a couple playing Pokemon Go may have stumbled across the same creature, the Loveland Frogman. Let's get into it. Number 5. Pokemon Go. Wednesday night, Sam Jacobs and his girlfriend were playing Pokemon Go between Loveland Madeira Road and Lake Isabella. Then a night of fun turned into a chilling tale of horror. That was when they encountered the purported Frogman. "We saw a huge frog near the water," Jacobs wrote in an email. Jacobs stopped playing Pokemon Go so he could document what he was seeing, snapping some photos and shooting a short video. Then the thing stood up and walked on its hind legs. "I realize this sounds crazy, but I swear on my grandmother's grave this is the truth," he wrote. The frog stood about 4 feet tall. When they returned to Jacob's girlfriend's home, her parents told them about the legend of the Frogman. So, was it the legendary Frogman, or just a big frog? Jacobs wasn't sure. Either way, "I've never seen anything like it," he concluded. Number 4. The first incident. This bipedal frog-like creature stands upright at 4 feet and has been the subject of much debate in Ohio. The first incident took place in the summer of 1955. A businessman traveling through Branch Hill spotted 3 disturbing creatures gathered by the side of the road. He described the beasts as being 3 to 4 feet tall, covered with leathery skin and completely hairless. Their webbed hands and feet were just barely visible, as were their frog-like faces. Though some believed the man's tale, others wrote him off as a scared traveler who had traversed ill-lit areas with an overly active imagination. Imagine their surprise when the stories didn't stop there. Number 3. Roadside Scare from Sunny H. At approximately 3:30 a.m., I witnessed 3 bipedal quasi-reptilian entities congregating by the side of the road. Number 2. Frogman's Return from Cindy L. We bought a little house down by the Loveland Castle Museum back in 2000. It was perched above a ravine and creek, and the back of the house dropped off very steeply. There would have been enough room for a man or a bipedal person to stand behind the house, but the basement windows were eye level, and the first floor was quite far up from the place where one could stand. The reason I point this out is that because it was a very small house, we had to use the basement for our 2 boys' bedroom. They kept complaining that something kept looking in the window at them, and my husband and I laughed it off at first. It was a wooded setting, very rural and beautiful, and very dark at night, having no street lights out there, so it seemed funny that they were thinking something was watching them. We just told them maybe it was a deer. They are plentiful in the fall, and went about our business. One night, however, I woke up hearing a weird sound just outside our bedroom window on the first floor. It faced out back of the house, and I was puzzled as to what it could be because it sounded like a man breathing heavily. I started to sit up and realized that whatever it was looking in my window just inches from my head, and I was terrified. I did not look out because I knew that I would see it, and I kept feeling something urging me to look. We often would hear squeaking noises, screeching, not like an owl, and a crying baby. I woke my husband up and said whatever it would have to have been 10 feet tall to look in our window. I couldn't sleep that night, but whatever had been there had moved on. I didn't mention it to the kids the next day. The boys came up from the basement shaken from seeing the red glowing eyes the night before. They were every bit as big as red road reflectors, and they heard heavy breathing, and the hair on their bodies stood up on end. This was only one experience we had out there in Loveland. It's right down by the Little Miami River, only a stone's throw. Many weird things out there. Green glows, orbs, something very large and black on top of the roof on the house, very late at night. When light was shone on it, it did not go through whatever. It was on the roof, and it looked like a huge, dark figure. Number 1. Real cryptid or hoax. Years after his original sighting, Officer Matthews has somewhat changed his story. He now claims that creature he saw that night was nothing more than a large reptile which had escaped from its owner. He further insisted that the reason he shot at the creature was to help confirm a fellow officer's story. Whether or not Matthews changed his story due to ridicule or a fading memory of an event which took place one dark night on an icy road outside of Loveland.